The Global Integrity Crusade Network has called on the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Ezenwo Wike, to urgently intervene in the dispute between Abuja Municipal Area Council and the FCT Administration over environmental regulation and levy collection. The group warned that the crisis has led to multiple taxation, with businesses and residents being compelled to pay duplicate levies for the same environmental services, thereby increasing financial pressure and threatening economic activities. GICN also demanded clarity from the Environmental Health Council of Nigeria on which agency is legally responsible for environmental regulation and the collection of associated levies within AMAC, in line with the constitutional provisions. In addition, it called for the immediate suspension of the ongoing enforcement actions and prosecution in FCT magistrate courts to prevent further injustice and allow for a harmonized regulatory framework between the agencies involved. The group further urged the Nigerian police force to investigate allegations of harassment linked to duplicate levy demands, while appealing to civil society organizations to support efforts aimed at resolving the crisis and protecting affected businesses and residents.
The effect of these provisions is that environmental health regulation and collection of associated fees fall squarely within the competence of local government councils, such as AMAC. Therefore, we are worried that despite this clear framework of the Constitution, which is a ground norm in Nigeria, the FCTA, acting through its Public Health Department and in collaboration with a company called Abuja Environmental Consultants Nigeria Limited, RC number 1293092, has continued to impose and enforce environmental compliance obligations on citizens and businesses within AMAC. But there is no doubt that we in the civil society must rise to the occasion to ensure that essential economic activities in the FCT are not disrupted without any justification. We are not against the collection of taxes, but you cannot be duplicating taxes on Nigerians, especially in the era of the new tax regimes when people don't even know which one to pay. And then AMAC and FCTA are confusing us in Nigeria. We hereby make the following demands. 1, that the Honorable Minister of FCT, Chief Barrister Nyesom Ezenwo Wike, CON, urgently intervenes by calling concerned parties to the table to resolve this crisis about the provision of environmental services such as fumigation and pest control, habitation and continued use of habitable property, food and water, and other environmental regulated components within Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC. Number 2, that the Registrar of Environmental Health Council of Nigeria, EHCON, Dr. Baba Yakubu, PhD, works with the Honorable Minister of Environment to make public statement defining the exact agency that is responsible for environmental regulation and the collection of associated levies within AMAC, considering the provision of the law we cited, Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution and the National Environmental Health Practice Regulation 2024. 3, that the Director of Magistrates, Federal Capital Territory, Magistrate Idayat Akani, immediately suspends all the overlapping enforcement actions and ongoing prosecutions across magistrate courts under her supervision. This is to prevent further injustice. And it will allow room for a proper harmonization framework between the FCTA and AMAC as to the exact agency that is responsible for environmental regulation and the collection of associated levies pursuant to the 1999 Constitution and the National Environmental Health Practices Regulation 2024. Number 4, that the Nigeria Police Force investigates the concerns raised about the activities of Abuja Environmental Consultants Nigeria Limited to ensure that the company and Dr. Obinatu Remigus, who is being used by this company to cause havoc, are not being used just to harass GICN, because we are already a victim, and that is why we are shouting, so that they won't continue to harass us and other law-abiding citizens, including our law firm called Grey Law Practice Limited Partnership, on whom they are serving all kinds of notices concerning environmental services, which we already have paid to AMAC. 5, that our fellow civil rights advocates and lovers of justice all over Nigeria should join forces with GICN to ensure that the ongoing crisis about environmental regulation and collection of associated dues and levies within AMAC is strictly monitored and clearly resolved for the benefit of the already suffering masses. Closing. In closing this World Press Conference, we wish to put on record that GICN will not allow any disgruntled individual or agency to use frivolous allegations of criminal defamation, in quote, cyberbullying, in quote, or cyberstalking under the Cybercrimes Prohibition, Prevention, etc. Amendment Act 2024 to stop the exercise of our fundamental rights as guaranteed under sections 39, 40, and 41 of the 1999 Constitution. Gentlemen of the civil society, are we going to allow anybody use police to harass us simply because we are demanding for our rights?
No.
Are we going to allow it?
No.
It is on that note that we say that in the coming days again, we shall take peaceful protests to strategic institutions like the National Assembly, Federal Ministry of Environment, Office of the FCT Chief Judge and Director of Magistrate, among others, to press further our grievances and ensure that justice is not only done, but seen manifestly by everybody that it has properly been done. Let us remember that Nigeria is our only country, and we will keep doing everything necessary to make sure that the country stands out among the community of nations. Once again, I thank you for coming, and I wish you a happy Easter celebration.